All right, a little bit of a doozy to start this next video, but chapter 5, number 17, write the equation of an exponential function. I've already worked ahead a little bit. They're trying to say, focus on this. And it has a horizontal asymptote of y equals 0. That's the x-axis. And it passes through 112, 3, 108. Definitely not to scale, but don't worry about that. So we got to find A, and we got to find B. Notice this is an X and this is a Y. This is an X, this is a Y. That's going to help us find out what A and B are if we just plug these in. So if I plug this one in, I'm going to get Y equals A times B to the X. And if I plug this one in, I'm going to get 108 equals A times B to the third power. Notice I now have two equations with two variables. I should be able to use substitution. Now this is the simpler one, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to divide by let's see, yeah, I'm going to divide by B. I'm going to divide by B. I was going to divide both sides by A, but I think that would just complicate things. So A equals 12 over B. And then if I divide by B cubed here, divide by B cubed here, I get A equals 108 over B cubed. Now this is not the only way to use substitution, but this is the road I've chosen. So if they both equal A, then I know 12 over B equals 108 over B cubed. Now how do I solve for B? Multiply by B cubed, multiply by B cubed. Now there's something interesting about this graph, and that's why I drew it. This is growth. Now what do we know about growth? Well, B has to be greater than 1. And also we've been kind of talking not a whole lot about this, but B being negative is not a possibility. So B is going to be our positive value. And that's something that's implied in this problem here, but watch how this goes. So these cancel. So then I get 12b squared equals 108. Divide by 12, I get this nice little 9. And that's what's nice about exams. Normally they don't burden you too much. Bada boom, bada bing, do the right thing. I wonder if this is important. It is, because B can only be the positive 3. All right, well, now that we've found B, we can stick it in here and figure out what A is. The original was 12 equals A times B, which is 3. We can see that A is 4. So, grand finale, Y equals A times B to the X. Growth. Yeah, interesting. All right, give me a second. Okay, number 18, got a little kickstart here. An online store starts selling a new type of basketball shoes. In week 2, there's my X. The store sold 60 pairs of shoes. There's my Y. That's where that point comes from, right here. And in week 4, X, that's my time. They sold 210 pairs. There's my other Y. That's this pair, this point right here. It says write an exponential function, so they're giving you a huge hint on how to get started to model pairs of shoes sold by the week. So it's very similar to the last problem. This thing's a little bit different because the numbers don't work out perfectly. But if this is an X and this is a Y and this is an X and this is a Y, we're going to start with this guy, plug it in here. So we get 60 equals A times B to the X. Now we're going to take this and do the same thing. We're going to go 210 equals A times B to the X. Now, like I did before, solving for A is easier because they're both sitting there all by themselves. I don't know if I explained that really clearly in the last one. So, A equals this, and A equals this, so both these boxes equal each other. So 60 over B squared equals 210 over B to the 4th. So I'm going to multiply that by B to the 4th to get rid of it. B to the 4th, notice these cancel, So that'd be b squared. Clean this up. 60b squared, this is going to be messy, equals 210. Divide by 60, divide by 60. And here we go. So these cancel. This, before we take the square root of stuff, can be reduced to 21 over 6. I just took the zeros off. Then 3 goes into that 7 times, 3 goes into that 2 times. Now I have b squared equals 7 halves. So, what we're going to do, remember, b is going to be positive. We're going to take the square root of both sides, and I know that's 3.5. So I'm going to take the square root of 3.5, and I get 1.87. We'll be a little perfectionistic and keep that instead of rounding it to 1.9, so our answers later will be more accurate. So I know what b is. It's 1.87. Now I got to find a. How am I going to find that? I'm going to go back to the simplest original equation that I set up right here. Now I'm going to go 60 equals a times b 1.87 squared. So we're going to take this and we're going to square it. 3.5, that's handy. 3.5a equals 60. I'm going to divide by 3.5, divide by 3.5. So 60 divided by 3.5, 17.14. So a is 17.14. So if I put all that together, my equation is right, an exponential function. I'm just going to stick with pairs, so p of x, or I could just use y, equals a 17.14 times b, what did we say b was? 1.87 to the x power. So don't forget, x is how much time in weeks, y is number of pairs. So this says how many shoes, so they're saying find y if week is 3, so they're saying x is 3. And now we have a formula. So 17.14 times 1.87 to the third power. So here we go. 1.87 cubed times 17.14. 112, yeah, 0.08. So approximately 112, yeah, pairs of shoes. Okay. Next problem is going to make you get a little creative here. If the trend continues when, so they're saying find y if x, if we end up getting 1,000 pair of shoes. Alright, so I'm glad I caught myself, got a little tongue twisted in the brain. When, as far as this goes, is x. So that was a little mistake. Something fell off. When they sell 1,000 pairs, that's my y. So yeah, that would have been disastrous. So anyway, glad I caught it. So we're just going to stick these things in where they belong. So 1,000 pair, and we got our formula down, 17.14 times 1.87 to the x. Notice where the x is. It's stuck in the exponent, which means logarithms are coming. So 17.14, 17.14, and here we go. So 1,000 divided by 17.14. So I get 58.34 equals 1.87 to the x power. The only way we can get that down is to slap a log on that side, slap a log on that side. I'm going to go ahead and calculate this. So log 58.34, 1.765, I'm going to call it 1.77 equals, remember the rule, I can bring that in the front, x times, now I'm going to find log of 1.87, I get 0.272 times 0.272, so I'm going to divide by that. 272. So 1.77 divided by 0.272. Hopefully I've been hitting the right buttons. So x equals 6.5. What's that? Weeks. So there you go. There's the answer for letter C. All right. So let me get some formulas written down for number 19. All right. So your grandma gives you $1,500 on your 18th birthday. That'd be nice. If you invest the money in an account that earns 3.75% interest, notice that's my interest rate, compounding monthly, as soon as they tell you this, you know that this is 12 and you know that's 12, and that's why we have to use this formula. And then we have 5 years is what we're going to put right there. And the last thing that I haven't highlighted yet is that initial amount is going to be that. So all said and done, this is just a plug things in where they belong and don't screw it up problem. I get a little nervous using a pen. So 1 plus, got to convert that to 0.0375. Number of times per year is 12. And then 12t, so that's my 5. So 12 times 5. Well, we got some work to do. Let me clean this up and not waste your time. All right, so I did the math in here, figured this out. It ends up being 0.003, added it to 1, multiplied that, 60. So now we're going to take that to the 60th power. And there it is, and we're going to multiply that by 1,500. And good old grandma helped you make some money, so 1808. So approximately 1808, 82 cents. We'll round it a little bit. All you got to do to change this now is change the 5s, the 5 to a 10. So we're going to cheat a little bit here. Steal this. 1,500, 1.003, and n stays the same. But this time it's 10 years. Let's see how this changes. So that's 1.003 to the 120th power times 1,500. I'll be back in a second. All right, so plugged it in, brought it to the 120th power, multiply it by 1,500, and that's what I got after 10 years. Good old grandma helping you out. How much will you have after 10 years if you invest it into an account 3.75 continuously? So this is the, let me get the formula written down. All right, so it's the APERT formula. How much will you have? Find this. This is our 1,500 initial investment. We know E is 2.71, or just type it in your calculator, it'll be more accurate. Your rate is 0.0375 continuously for 10 years. And let me do some math. All right, so just move the decimal one place over, 0.375, so e to the 0.375 power, because 10 would do that to the decimal, and multiply that by 1,500. Make sure you can move through your calculator okay, getting that answer. Number 20, how long? Remember, t is in the exponent, so that's saying we're probably going to have to use logs of some sort. Will it take $600 to triple if it's compounded quarterly, which takes us back to that formula. So let's just put things where they belong. So 600 is how much is invested. How long will it take it to triple? Well, that tells us we're wondering when it's going to turn into 1,800, and now everything else just kind of plug it in. So 1 plus the rate there would be 0.0525 all over the number of times quarterly is 4, and then 4 times t. All right, so again, I'm going to do some math, be right back. Okay, so I did a couple things, figured out what this was. It's 1.0131, divided both sides by 600. I did not distribute this, don't do it, because you don't know what this is, so you got to get rid of it. Divide by 600, divide by 600. Now I got to put logs on both sides, because that's the only way you can bring this into the front. So I'm going to check out for a second. All right, one step further. Brought the 4t in the front. There it is. Figured out what log of blah, blah, blah is. It's this. Log of 3 is this. So now I'm going to go ahead and multiply this by 4 and then divide both sides by it, and I'll be back in a sec. All right, so multiplied that by that. Got this. Divided both sides by this to this. Calculator, 21.11 years. There we go.